back in the 70s when I was teaching Indian law at the University of Oregon, I represented the Siletz tribe, a small tribe over on the coast near Newport. They'd been terminated by the federal government. Government had sold off their land, discontinued all relationships with the tribes, and basically turned them loose. And it didn't work. People moved away without land. The tribe loses its anchor. But in the 70s, they came back and wanted to achieve restoration, which was to have Congress repeal the Termination Act and restore the tribe to federal status and provide a small reservation. And they accomplished that. Poor people, people without any financial resources, but they managed to put a major act through Congress. There was a lot of opposition in Oregon. It wasn't necessary, really, but the times were such with the fish wars, the salmon controversies, that any Indian issue was controversial. Well, I made very good friends at Siletz. They were just 2 hours from the University of Oregon, and I spent a lot of time over there. And then, in 2005, Dolores Pigsley, the chairwoman of the tribe, called me and asked if I would write the tribe's history. The idea of writing their history touched my heart and soul and my mind, and it was clear to me that's what I wanted to do. And it was doubly good because the tribe understood what I meant when I said to them that, look, this can't be some advocacy piece. I've got to write an accurate history, and I have to have the final call on it. And that was fine with them, and I think they knew that that was in their enlightened self-interest, not to have control over the book, but to participate deeply in the book. And I really, as the months went by, found myself thinking in broad terms about what I wanted the book to be. You know, tribal histories are a pretty sorry lot generally, really written from the white point of view and not getting deeply into the tribe side. And so I knew I wanted to have a strong tribal voice in the book, and my research assistants and I conducted more than 100 interviews and dug deeply into anthropologists' field notes to get real words said by tribal people who had lived before the white people came. I also came to believe that not only did I need to use the tribal voice, but that the tribe really had a right to review the book in depth. And so I met with the tribal council for 3 days in retreat and went through the manuscript page by page, got all kinds of corrections. And it was amazing how little they were trying to affect any value judgments or conclusions I might have. They were really just interested in getting the facts down, and it was enormously helpful. And those sessions with the tribe were emotional because, like most tribes, their history really comes in 3 stages. The first is the Aboriginal days before the white people came, which is a very favorable time. And then the middle segment of the Siletz history is the time from the period from when the white people came to, the late 60s, early 70s, when the modern tribal revival began. And that's a painful time, and I've rarely been in a room for so long with people feeling so much pain as I was with the council and some staff people going over the long middle part of the book, where their reservation, 110 miles of the Oregon coast, one of the most magnificent of all Indian reservations, was just taken away from them. There was a little bit left by termination time, but not much. Most of it was taken in the 19th century. And they'd been moved from southern Oregon. 27 different tribes and bands were consolidated on that reservation, and the removal itself was painful. One woman who lived into her 90s was a little girl, and she was on the Trail of Tears going north, being marched by the military. A shot rang out. She was 5 or 6, and her mother said, "Walk on, don't look back." And that's because a soldier had shot and killed her father. And there were many other incidents during those long years that were so painful. When being Indian was bad, they were taught that at every turn, and there was heavy pressure to assimilate and give up the old ways. Well, the modern era at Siletz has really been fascinating. Modern Indian tribes, I think, are very compelling and very interesting, and the Siletz, to be sure, meet that description. And they did get a restoration bill passed, and a part of their land base back, not a large part, just 4,000 or 5,000 acres. They've added to it since. And they've accomplished a lot in modern times, and some of it is very tangible, such as just take education, which they've made a priority. And now just about any young person or older person at Siletz can go to college and have a full-ride scholarship. And the cultural revival has been absolutely amazing, and there's a lot of different aspects to it, but two of them are their traditional dance, Neidash, which is done in a traditional dance house, a cedar dance house, 60 feet long by about 30 wide, seats a couple hundred people, and the dancers dance around an open fire, and it goes on for several nights in traditional times, from dusk until dawn, all night. And they do Neidash today, and I couldn't help but have a long description in the book about Neidash. It's an amazing spectacle. It's the feeling we have when we see real art, in this case dance, but also the spirituality is just overwhelming. And then another is a sort of a different type of traditional revival. It's a new event. They call it the Run to the Rogue, but most of them were moved from the Rogue River area up to Siletz. It's about 240 miles. And now there is every year on Treaty Day, September 10th, there's a Run to the Rogue. It takes 3 days, 240 plus miles. I've done it twice. It's a relay, so I ran and walked 6 miles or so each time. And it ends deep in the Rogue River country, and you can just feel the ancestors. I ended up dedicating this book to the ancestors, and you can feel them in the Rogue River country. It's so thick, the forest so deep, and the green so rich, and the mist coming up off the river. And it's very spiritual. It's magical. It's compelling. It's beautiful. It's stirring, and they hold the end of it at Oak Flat, where their great war chief, Tai John, one of the great of all Indian war chiefs. And often somebody reads Tai John's great speech where he said, "This is my country. I lived here when these trees were very small, and I will not leave. You want me to go to your reservation? I will not go to your reservation. I will fight. Goodbye." And he went back and fought a magnificent battle and was overwhelmed by American forces. But the point about Tai John is really the point of the whole tribe, and it's the staying power. He's a man who wouldn't quit. The tribe's been a group of people who wouldn't quit. They ought to have been ground under. There shouldn't be a Siletz tribe today. It doesn't make sense that there is, but there is. And it's because of something that's inside them, a love of culture and self-determination and staying power.